And welcome to the Sprint to Freedom Day 1. My name is Martin Williams, and thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And this is the April cohort of the Sprint to Freedom. And I've been launching these every month for people who want to jump into full-time entrepreneurship and, basically create an income outside of their job. So thank you for, again, coming in. So why am I doing this? Why am I, going through this trouble and, starting this type of challenge and this type of community? So for me, I had asked myself a question, and the question was, what would a loss of income look like? If I were to lose my income tomorrow, God forbid, but if I were to lose my income tomorrow, would I be able to, not have too much disruption as a part of, that loss of income? Would life be a lot different? Would it look a lot different? And the answer for me is, for me has been for a long time, yeah, it would. It would be very disruptive if I lost my income. And that is the case for most people. Most people really can't sustain an income loss. And an income loss can come in a variety of ways and for a variety of reasons. Sometimes, that income loss is because one person is working and the other person isn't, in a marriage or relationship situation. And one person has decided to stay home and take care of the kids and the other person is working. But when that income is lost, it's not just the person who lost the job or lost the whatever that was causing or bringing in that income. Everyone in the house is affected. And, you can lose a job because, you get fired, you can get laid off, you can get, downsized, whatever term you want to use. It can happen to anyone and it can happen for any reason, and it doesn't have to be your fault. My question is not so much why it happened. My question is, what would life look like? And if it would look pretty dire, then you have the responsibility to build something that will bring in income outside of your job. That's a responsibility that you have as an adult. And if you don't do that, then you're putting yourself and whoever is dependent on you at risk of these consequences of not having an income outside of your job, right? How long would you be able to, basically survive? How long would you be able to pay your bills if you lost your job tomorrow? For most people, you're probably about 2 weeks to a month away from a real crisis. For some people, it might be a little bit longer. But the longer that you go unemployed or the longer that you go without income, the bigger the crisis gets. So you don't want to wait until that point. If you're at a job right now and things are going pretty well, you don't want to wait until things go, into the gutter. You want to start building your income streams now. You want to start building those multiple streams of income now while you're working. And it may be a situation where you don't have a ton of time, but if you invest 2 to 3 hours a day, which most people can do, especially if you cut out TV, if you cut out, social media usage, if you cut out a lot of things that really aren't giving you any kind of ROI, right? You could create multiple streams of income and over the course of a few months, find something that is generating as much as your job income or maybe even more. but you'll never get there if you never get started. So this is, the clarion call to anyone who doesn't have multiple streams of income to start now. Okay? Now, is it something that I'm teaching? Not necessarily. I'm more so giving ideas because I'm in the midst of it myself. Right? At some point, it will turn into a course and it will turn into something that I teach because I can teach from experience. But I'm teaching from what I've learned up to this point. And it's really more of a community aspect that I want to build. But I think a lot of people would do it if they could do it with someone, if they could do it as a part of a group or have someone who will hold them accountable. So Sprint to Freedom is something in which we can hold each other accountable to build this thing out for you, to help you and your family be secure in knowing that if your job were to end tomorrow, that you'd be able to at the very least, pay your rent or pay your mortgage. And, obviously, you want to do more than that, but wouldn't it be nice to know that you wouldn't have any disruption with your bills whatsoever if something were to happen to your job? To me, that's a very comforting feeling. Okay? So you don't build the ark when it starts raining. For people that know the story of Noah's Ark, Noah built the ark before the rain started. And the thing is that he was ridiculed while he was building it. If you read the story and understand the story, he was being made fun of while he was building the ark because it was dry. But, he trusted that a storm was coming and that the ark needed to be built. And what I'm telling you right now is that in this day and age, in this time period, I think you need to start building an ark because tech companies are laying people off by the thousands. McDonald's just laid off thousands of people. And I hate to say it, but the layoffs are going to keep coming. And you don't want to wait until your number is pulled. You don't want to wait until it's your day to be, sent home or have to send your computer back because, it's just your time, and not have something going on that will offset that. So you don't build the ark when it starts raining. You build it before you need it. You have to build the system before you need it. So hopefully you're getting this, and hopefully this is making sense to you, right? So I just wanted to run through some keys. So day one is all about figuring out what you want to do, but I also wanted to add in some things to think about while you're ramping up to start building those multiple streams of income to get you out of your current situation of being 100% dependent on your work income, your 9-to-5 income. The first thing you want to think about is that, you want to do what you know how to do already. Okay? You want to do what you know how to do already, and you want to start now. Not next month, not next week. You want to start now. Okay? You've waited long enough. Some of you have been thinking about starting your own business for a long time, and you've waited long enough. It's time to start now. Now is the time. Get going now. Okay? So, what do you get going doing? Well, back to the first part of the key. Do what you already know how to do. Okay? You don't have time to learn how to do something. Okay? Not in this particular point period. If you don't have sufficient savings for, and to offset any kind of layoff or anything like that, you don't have 2 months to pick something up. No, start doing what you already know how to do. The obvious thing would be the thing that you're currently doing at work. Okay, if you're working as an accountant for a firm, you can start accounting for yourself. You can start doing accounting on your own, right? If you work for a cleaner, If you're cleaning houses or whatever, or cleaning businesses, you can start cleaning on your own. You can start cleaning houses on your off days, right? And I'm going to get to another piece of it in a minute, but you don't just have to do the thing, you can also teach people how to do it, right? So that's two streams of income right there. If you're a copywriter or a copy editor, you can easily do that on your own. There's so many things you can do on your own that you're already doing for an employer. And the fact that your employer is paying you is proof that people need it. So why not just do it as a self-employed person and build from that? Okay, you don't have to do it forever, especially if you hate what you're doing now. But why not start there instead of trying to reinvent the wheel? You want to do things that you already know how to do. So make a list of things that you already know how to do, that you're comfortable doing, and then just get going doing that. Okay? Number 2, you want to think from survival mode. And what I mean by survival mode is that we're not doing things for for beautification, or we're not doing things to look good. We're doing things to get it done. Okay, done is better than perfect. $1 is better than no dollars. Forward movement is better than no movement. Okay, the goal is income independence, not style points. We're not going for style points. We're going for making money on our own. That's the goal. It's not about, how good it looks. Okay. There's people who've been doing this for a long time, and they can hire people. They can hire, graphic designers and hire, people that know how to make stuff look great, and web designers that make the websites look great, and all that's great. All that's fine, but that's not what you need. All you need is a Gumroad account. All you need is ConvertKit or something where people can go and buy your stuff. You don't need, a $2,000 website. You don't need this whole team, especially if money is tight. I'd much rather you just, get a Gumroad account and send people there. And then when you get to a point where you have a budget where you can hire people, then go and build your website. Go crazy with it. But for now, it's about getting it live, and it's about making money, getting sales. Don't overthink it, okay? The third key, think time independent, because you're still working, okay? Now, I did mention that you may be able to do some things where you're trading time for money still. But ideally, you want to start thinking in terms of time independent types of things. So, digital products, memberships, things like that. Right? So what's the strategy behind that? Basically, a short course that teaches what you know at a one-on-one level, right? So one-on-one level is something that we take from college, right? When you start school, when you go to college, there's these entry-level classes where you're learning the basics. Right? So you're taking intro to biology, intro to English, intro to this, intro to that. That's what you want to teach here. Okay? You want to teach an intro class where people learn the basics. Okay? There are a lot of people who don't know the basics. Okay? And they need something that's, a combined, a very clean, very orderly type of course where they can learn everything they need to know to be proficient. And if they want to know more, then you can teach them more, but at a higher cost. Okay? But entry-level courses, say like $100, and they can learn everything that they need to know from top to bottom, and they can get the knowledge that they need to move forward in whatever it is that they're doing. So think in terms of that when you're creating your course. Number 4, actually to finish up with number 3, and I did say this already, anything higher than that would be considered high ticket. So if you're teaching like a mastery course, or you're teaching something that's at an intermediate or an expert level, then you should charge more, and the person buying it should expect to pay more because they're paying for a higher level of wisdom. Okay? So number 4 is think multiple projects, but work on and finish them one at a time. This is very important, and I wish it was something that I understood when I first started out in this. A lot of people don't always know what they want to do right off the bat, and they have a lot of ideas, okay? And it's okay to have a lot of ideas, and you should execute on them all, just not all at the same time, because you get overwhelmed, right? So instead of trying to figure out, okay, I got 7 ideas, and you're trying to do them all at once, that's a great way to not do any of them, okay? Instead, why not decide, okay, I'm going to do all 7 of these ideas over the next 6 months, but I'm just going to work on one at a time, bring them to completion, and then work on the next thing. And what this does, it does 2 things. Number 1, it forces you to focus on one thing until it's finished. And then number 2, it tests how strong of an idea it is. Because you may get to the end of the 30 days and the desire to really do that thing goes away, right? And it just ended up being a distraction. And it basically provides more clarity. And during that 30 days, something else may have come up that you can do instead of the original idea. Does that make sense? A lot of times we have a lot of ideas, but sometimes those ideas are not really rooted in something real. It's just something that our mind generates. And what I would say is, if you don't have a desire to do it, then don't do it, because that will come through in the product of whatever you're doing. Number 5, and this is something also to remember, as you create things, it will seem like things aren't working. It may seem like, okay, I did 3 things and none of them sold, okay? And you might think that you're failing, but you aren't failing, you're developing, okay? In the product development world, products are developed all the time and they don't always work. The original version of it doesn't work. But you just continue to work on that product until it becomes something that is usable by the general public. That's called product development. So you're not failing, you're developing. You're developing something that people are going to go crazy over, and thousands of people are going to buy and love and benefit from it. So that leads into number 6. Think long term, even though this is a sprint. It's a sprint because I don't want you to wait 2 months. I want you to get going now. But think long term, because what you're doing is that you're ultimately building your exit plan from your current job. Right? Now, if you love your job, that's great. But again, just because you love your job doesn't mean that you're going to stay there forever. Doesn't mean that you can't lose your job just because, you can lose your job for any reason. And, just think in terms of, okay, what do I really want to do in my life? And, how can I fund that? And this is one way to fund it. Number 7 is that you want to produce content consistently, right? Now, a lot of people struggle with this because, life gets busy. We don't have a ton of time to produce content. I get it. But, you want to definitely leverage your weekends as much as you can, right? To schedule, record things ahead of time, write things ahead of time. And then, during the week, you can fine tune it and then release it. But if you don't have, enough email subscribers, if you don't have enough people following you, you've got to create content. That is the number one way to get more people into your universe that can actually buy your product. So, don't overthink it. You got to produce content. And what type of content should I produce? I should produce content that is very short and to the point. People have very short attention spans. You want to think probably 2 to 3 minutes or less in like social media context. So, like producing a short snippet of a video is on, maybe like a TikTok or an IG, a short blurb on Facebook or Instagram or something like that. And then, if people want to know more, you can put a YouTube link, and then the longer version is on YouTube. Okay? So that's something that is, a strategy, just to really get people to start following you and letting them know what you're producing. The 8th key is this is as much about mindset as it is about doing, right? 20% of the work you're going to be doing is going to be mindset work, okay? And I'll get into that on later days, but basically, you really want to get your mindset in the place where you're thinking like an entrepreneur and you're no longer thinking just as an employee. The more entrepreneurial you are in your mindset, the further you're going to go, the better results you're going to have. Okay? So 20% of your work is mindset, but it will determine 80% of your results. Most people quit because they're still thinking like an employee instead of thinking like a business owner, which is what's required to make this happen. Number 9, be stubborn about your goal, but be flexible with the path to get there. To be honest, you don't know which path is going to work. You don't know which one's going to work. You can have ideas, you can have clues, but to be honest, you have no idea what's going to really resonate with people until, it actually happens, right? So until it happens, right, you're not really going to make assumptions, or you shouldn't make assumptions. And you want to be stubborn, not so much about how you get there, but that you are going to get there. Like, don't take no for an answer. Be as stubborn as possible about the goal, but be flexible with the path. And then number 10, the more things you ship, and by ship, I mean complete and post for sale, the closer you're going to get to the thing that will set you free. Far too often, people quit along the way because they simply don't ship enough. You might ship 1 or 2 things and nothing works, right? But you want to think about shipping along the lines of 8 or 9 different things, right? And keep shipping until you strike gold, until you strike oil. And then at that point, you can start drilling down. At that point, you can start really finding more ways to, take advantage of that particular hit. But until then, you got to keep shipping, and, don't be married to a certain product. Don't be married to a certain method. Just ship and get into the habit of putting things out consistently, knowing that one of these things is going to work. So thank you so much for listening. Welcome to day 1. You can click on the link at the bottom to join the free Facebook group. And, happy sprinting, happy income producing activities to you. And just please come back for day 2, and we'll go deeper into what you can be doing and some other things that you want to start getting in line if you plan on leaving your job within 6 months. So thank you so much for listening. My name is Martin Williams, and I'll talk to you soon.